Hello and welcome to this webinar that we're holding, the ProStrategy and Schau software are holding together. We want to introduce to you the SI Foodware solution for the food and drinks industry that's been developed by Schau and is in use all around the world. We think it's of significant value to the food and drinks industry here in Ireland. Just to introduce ourselves today, I'm Joe Kelly. I lead the ERP team here in ProStrategy, and one of my colleagues, Gianluca Umiento, is who works with me quite closely all the time, is one of our foodware consultants, and he'll be presenting today, taking us into some of the detail of the product itself, so that you can get a look of the feel and flavor of the software itself. William van Zweden has kindly joined us from Schau Software in the Netherlands, and he is the international manager looking after all of the partners worldwide and helping with our implementations, irrespective of what country we're in. So thank you, Willem, for joining us today. Just to look at the agenda as to what we're going to cover today, I'm going to talk about ProStrategy and what we've been doing over the last 30 years or so. It won't be too long a presentation, so you won't get too bored with it, hopefully. But it's to give you a flavour of who we are and what contribution we can make. William is going to talk about some of the major issues that the food and drinks industry is facing today, and I'm sure many of these will resonate with you. And the purpose of looking at these is to try and help you see how we can bring solutions there. Looking at the SI Foodware solution itself, we're going to look at some of the critical issues that you're faced on an operational basis day in, day out, and how the solution addresses those issues and can help you as you run your company. Some particular areas of the food industry that we're looking today, and this is not an exhaustive list by any means, but we're just pinpointing some issues today, and it'll give you a chance to have a sense of how we approach those. We're going to look at quality control and product recall, which is really, really important that we're on top of that issue and be able to react quickly to any events that occur. Product specification is a critical point in any solution because it's kind of the building block of how we organize our business and do everything else. So Gianluca is going to be taking us into that as well after he does the quality control and product recall. And then Gianluca will also show us how, through the use of the software, we can optimize production and have our production area running really, really well and efficiently. I'll spend a few minutes just giving a very high level overview of what we can bring with business intelligence, with a particular focus on the visualization of data and helping to make better decisions. Then towards the end of the session, we'll be looking at our methodology and the approach that we bring to projects, how we approach that, the sort of things we do and what we think of, and the way we work with you to implement successful solutions. And then we'll finish up with a Q&A session. So hopefully that will cover everything. As I say, it's not meant to be an in-depth look at the product itself and the solution that we bring, but it does give you a flavor, and hopefully we'll be able to arrange to give you a more in-depth look at the foodware solution in the not too distant future. So I want to look at ProStrategy and Microsoft Dynamics and our relationship with Microsoft that we've developed over many, many years. ProStrategy ourselves, we've been in business for over 30 years, and we have a lot of staff across Ireland that have more than 10 years experience, which is actually quite good because it's one of the critical things that we bring are people who really know how to implement solutions and know your industry, and that's a critical difference in making a successful project. Over half of our ERP consultants are qualified accountants, and all of our consultants are coming from a variety of industrial backgrounds or industry backgrounds. So we bring a lot of business experience, and that really helps us to understand how you think and to get inside your head and understand how your business is working. We've been involved with the food and drinks industry for over 30 years, and we think that really is an important part of bringing successful solutions to your industry. And we have a strong emphasis on allowing decision making. Really, if you consider that when you're running your business and you're running solutions such as Foodware with on top of Dynamics NAV, you're collecting a lot of information, a lot of detail, and harnessing that detail and helping you to make sense of it is a critical issue in any business. And that's what I'm really talking about here around business intelligence, visualization of data, helping you to see what's going on really, really quickly and to make good decisions. We are partnering with SCOW because we believe they've got a best-in-class solution, and we think that's really, really useful to the Irish market. Microsoft have invested heavily in Dynamics over the years. Every year they spend more than $9 billion on R&D to make sure that the solutions across the Dynamics range are really up to what the market needs. There's heavy integration with Office 365, and it's a native integration. Both solutions, Office 365 and Microsoft Dynamics, are provided by Microsoft, so they kind of build those together. And it is true that it's that it's a fully integrated solution, and it's the best one out there in terms of both Dynamics and Office 365 that's available to us. The solution from Foodware and NAV is available on all devices and all platforms. So whether it's in the cloud or on premise, whether you want it on a mobile device, on your phone, or on a PC, on your desktop, really doesn't matter. All those choices are yours, and we can implement that in a variety of ways that works with you. One of the compelling pieces of data that's available around the Microsoft Dynamics NAV solution is it's in use by over 1 million people across the world. So this is getting extensive use every day. This is a really solid solution that is in use by lots and lots of people. So it's well used, it's well developed, a lot has been invested into it, and there's a great market there. I want to move on and hand over to William just now. He's going to talk about SCOW themselves, and is going to take us through some of the issues that are affecting the industry. So William, you're very welcome. Thank you for joining us today, and over to you.
Thanks all for joining so far. My name is William. I'm with a company called SCOW Informatisering. We're based in the Netherlands, and we've been in business since 1998, so almost 20 years now. And pretty much from day one, we've been focusing on the food industry as such. Apparently, we have a connection to food, and food has a connection to us. And for the years thereafter, after we initiated the company, we were bringing a product to market called Navision by then, which became Microsoft Dynamics in 2002. And we brought that to the market, and we always brought customization to it, because obviously NAV does a big part of the deal, but doesn't do everything, especially in the case of food companies. So when at a later point in time, we'll get to talk about the product in a bit more detail. At a later point in time, we combined all of that repeated customization into a vertical solution to combine our product development investments to leverage the economic scalability, and that has resulted in the company that we are today. 125 employees big, still food only. Literally, if you were not in food, you would come to us and say, can you help us out? We would probably most likely redirect you to another partner. We do everything ourselves in the Netherlands, and outside the Netherlands we work through a network of partners, through a network of distributors, of which ProStrategy is one of them. and it is my role, my duty to recruit those partners, to manage those partners as well as assisting in their marketing and sales efforts. And actually, I'm very glad to work with ProStrategy, because every once in a while you happen to come across a partner that not only understands dynamics and understands the dynamics of the ERP world, but happens to have a certain experience in food as well. I think that is crucial to the industry. If you look at Schouw, everything that we do is based on Microsoft technology, and we add SR Foodware on top of that. SR Foodware is a modular solution. We'll get to talk about that. And it is applied across the majority of the micro branches, micro verticals within the food industry. We happen to add a lot of functionality ourselves, but not everything, because we tend to be good at food and probably less good at everything technical. If you want to have a SharePoint portal, we'll be happy to redirect you to another partner. In the case of ProStrategy, if you're looking for a proper BI solution, don't talk to us, talk to them, because they have a certain knowledge of BI as well, those kind of things. We prefer to focus on the food specific stuff. And obviously, food is one of the things. Product, the second thing, and the third thing there is methodology, the approach. We're going to get to talk about ProStrategy's methodology that shows a large amount of similarities to ours, because they're based on the same thing called Microsoft Surestep. Everything that we've learned from the food industry over the past years is processed in our FoodFit methodology and is shared with our partners. So yeah, our partners can benefit from that as well. Thank you for that.
So William, you're going to talk to us about some of the major issues that you've seen in the food and drinks industry. So
yep.
Off you pop, off you go.
Yes. So whenever food companies come to us, obviously there's a lot of topics that we can discuss about, but the number one question that food companies, well, the reason why they come to us is, okay, I'm in need of a partner that understands my industry. We've chosen the food industry a number of years ago. We have built a certain expertise in the area, and I believe that this expertise, is one of our trademarks by now, because you'll probably have a hard time explaining best before dates, especially if they're very short, to a non-food experience partner. So the number one issue that companies come to us is indeed, do you understand the industry? And as such, and I already reiterated that, we have a number of customers in the fish industry, in the meat industry, in the vegetables industry, in the cookies industry, the whole bread and bakery industry, dairy products as well, and some final commodity stuff, and some there you go, some ready meals. So a wide variety of products. What I usually say, and so there's obviously some limitations to the product, we step in after the orchard, after the field. Once the processing starts, we step out before the retail. So our customers, they deal with retail, obviously. They deal with food service. Whenever I walk into a supermarket store, I do recognize products from our customers. And as such, we need to talk to the retail. We need to handle the EDI requirements, but we don't deal with retail as our customers. The crucial thing about this one is that it's not just the industry that you're in. And although each one of you may probably characterize yourselves or identify yourselves with a certain micro vertical, as in I am in bread and bakery, or I'm in alcoholic beverages, or I'm in cheese manufacturing, could be. The thing is, you are also subject to a certain typology. You are either a distribution or a manufacturing company. What we see is that most distribution companies now tend to add value-added activities. So you could say that manufacturing is obviously growing. But one of the key things within the supply chain of a food company is the shelf life of the products. And we distinguish in three different categories there, whether it's fresh food, where you have a best before date of multiple days, whether it's short shelf life food with a best before date of multiple weeks, and long shelf life food with a best before date of multiple months. So how does this impact your supply chain? How does this impact your production or your IT systems? I happened to talk to an egg manufacturing company a while ago, and their products had from the moment the eggs were created, they had a shelf life of 4 weeks roughly. This company was based in Denmark actually, and of those 4 weeks, 3 weeks were required by the retail. So this company had about 1 week left to process all of the eggs, from the fields into the processing, into the packing, and out to the retail store. So when it comes to making long-term purchasing contracts, for example, it didn't have any effect on them. Creating blanket orders, purchase contracts, doing long-term capacity planning stuff made no sense at all to them. All they were focused on was, okay, optimize and make my production runs, my production orders as efficient as possible. That was the key thing for them. Basically, what we see is that if you look at long shelf life food, companies supply chains tend to be more generic, more stable, more cost-driven, efficiency-driven, whereas in fresh food, it's stress all day. There's one single purpose, and that is get all the orders, get all the sales orders, all the production orders out that same day. And that has a certain consequence for your supply chain and the way you set up, you configure your IT software solution, obviously. Thank you, Joe. So if we continue to talk about that, what we often see is that, and obviously I'm from the Netherlands, but I can imagine that the world looks quite similar in Ireland. Many companies within the food industry are family-owned companies, although we happen to have quite a number of startups over here as well. And those companies usually start with an accounting solution, and then it grows. So they could add an extra module to their accounting solution, and then it grows even further. But that's something that the accounting solution can't cater for. So they'll probably start to add some Excel sheets. And whenever they're a manufacturing company, they'll probably buy a separate system to cater for the production orders, or the production MRP, MPS planning, things like that. This is a very likely scenario, and you can all manage this to a certain level, to a certain demand level. We propagate and we work with Dynamics NEV and as a Foodware, and as such we offer one integrated and business-wide solution. Now that means that if you do something on sales and if you sell products that happen to be purchase products, so that has a consequence for logistics and for purchase and for finance as well. If your people in the quality department block certain inventory, and we're going to see that scenario later on in this webinar, it has a consequence for sales, for purchase, and for production. So whenever somebody over here does something, it has an effect over there, and that is what we try and sell. So if we're talking about, okay, business-wide ERP applications, you'll probably wonder, okay, why do we need to add functionality? Is Dynamics NEV in itself not rich enough? And to a large extent I would say, yeah, they are rich enough, for sure. So on the top you will see the modules that NAV offers by default, starting with financial management, sales and purchase, HR, production planning, logistics. It's all there, absolutely. However, there are a number of things that standard NAV, Dynamics NAV, is not catering for. Think about EDI. Think about rebates. Think about the whole quality module that you see in the third column on the bottom. We've made some enhancements to the planning engine. I spoke about this short-term planning need for the egg company. We've made stuff on the long-term planning as well with regards to capacity, with regards to labor. If you deal with retail, you probably deal with SSCC labels, the industry standard for traceability codes. So there's a lot of things, small and big, that we've added to the system. If you know NEV, if you know Dynamics, you'll probably see the difference because well, we've added fields here and there, we've added big menus somewhere else. What we try to achieve is to make an application as integrated as possible. So we stick to all the standard nav functionality, and when Microsoft develops functionality that we already had, we'll copy their functionality, we'll reduce our footprint in the application, and we'll see what else we have to add in order to be compliant again. So these are just a number of elements that we serve to the market.
That's great, William. Thank you for that. That's a really good overview and gives us a good sense of why you're doing this and how you're helping NAV do a better job than it could do on its own. But some of the things we kind of want to look at are, this is not meant to be exhaustive, but let's say we picked a few items that we'd want to look at today around quality and production and also around decision making. And we're going to look at product recall, so we're going to have a look at how the product does this. The product specification, because that's actually defining how a product exists and what it's made of and all its rules are very, very important in the food industry. And then how we go about optimizing production. So Gianluca is going to get involved in this. So Gianluca has just put up his screen, which is the SI Foodware sitting on top of NAV. And it's over to you, Gianluca.
Thank you, Joe. So my name is Gianluca, and my role today is to introduce you to some of the features of the SI Foodware solution. So we're only looking at just a few of them. We've picked three main topics, and well, I'll take you through a demonstration through the product. For those of you who are new to Dynamics NAV, the user interface, I'm currently in my home page, and this is the role centered. So this is called role tailored client, which is basically showing an user interface which is specifically created for my role. In this case, my role is a quality profile role because I'm going to demonstrate some of the features from this area. The idea around of this role tailored client is that it gives you some quick information and to take actions around the most important key elements or key factor in your daily activities. So in the activities here area here in the center, what you can see is basically that I have 23 customer non-conformances, and I have 15 vendor non-conformances. And if I scroll down, it's also showing me some information about quality control regarding quality checks that needs approval or product specification that needs to be approved as well. Okay, and I can quickly just clicking on the what is called queue there, the system is bringing me to the related list. So where I'm currently now in the customer non-conformances open list. So you can see some information on the screen where you have the non-conformances number, the status, the customer name, when it was received, and the due date of the non-conformances, or how this was received, so by phone, by email, and so on. In any nav screen, just clicking on the header, you can reorder your list, or it is very easy to just search for any column. You can just right-click and do find, or I can do quick filters depending on where I'm positioned. Okay. Now, let me just. We were talking about recalls, product recalls. I can start from the customer non-conformances, but I will show you also later. You can start from lot information screen or from the purchase side, and then you can start creating non-conformances. So let's imagine that one of our customers just called us on the phone and is raising a non-conformance, so it's complaining about something. So with the new button, I'm now creating a new customer non-conformance, and the system has opened a discard page where I'm currently positioned into the non-conformance number. If I move out of that field, the system is automatically creating a number for me. This is absolutely customizable, but you can recognize this is sort of a structure which is saying this is a customer non-conformances for a certain year and then a certain number. So I have a receipt date, the system is telling me who created this one, and then I can enter additional information like how this non-conformance was received, so by phone, by email, letter, and so on, and then what's the status of this non-conformance. So I can track the progress as soon as I fill in all the information and I do my investigation. So the system has also automatically calculates the sort of a due date where I should finish to manage my non-conformance. And what I think here, just shortcut to number of action. I'll show shortly what you can do with that. So the next step will be basically to select my customer. So I can just click here and then I can search for my customer. I can use any of those columns. So I can use the code, or I can just click on the name and then I start typing, and then you see that as I'm typing, the system is filtering and suggesting me the correct customer based on the letters I'm typing. So I'm just select this customer, and then now the next step I can enter here who called me, so what was the contact number or the end user who's calling to provide these non-conformances. And then the next step will be to identify the shipment. So which goods is related to these non-conformance. So if I just choose and get shipment lines, the system will open a page where showing me all the shipment related to these customers. So everything which has been shipped in the past, in the history. So I can search, I can scroll through, I can filter, or I can search. And then whenever I found the relevant line, what I'm going to do is just to select my my line. So I'm selecting this line, I'm clicking OK, and now the system is copying some information from the shipment line into these non-conformance. So if I'm just moving to the right, so what I have the item number, the description, the quantity, which is in this case is in boxes. But being these item a catch weight item, I can also see that the weight, so how much has been really shipped through this shipment to the customer. What was the unit price and so on. And now I start qualifying, let's say, my non-conformance. So I'm starting to basically select what kind of non-conformance are we talking about. So in this case it was a product quality issue, and then within the quality, so what kind of problem, I don't know, was a smell issue. Okay, and the cause, so if I know the cause at this stage, probably not, so I wouldn't enter that, but then I can add additional information. I can also have a reason code to identify, then usually this is done at a later stage. So what was really the reason for these non-conformance when I've done my investigation. So there are additional information you can enter there. Let me show another important feature. So now that I've entered these non-conformance, another useful thing that I can do here is that the system can give me some default action lines. So if I'm just clicking here, the system will just retrieve based on the type of non-conformance, so the category that was a quality problem, and also the product, the non-conformance group. It will include actions that are here shown here in the bottom. So, and will assign to a certain resource if I set up these to be assigned. So the system creates two actions with a planned date and a specific action to be done, and then these will appear to this person task list. It's also shown obviously in the number of actions related to this non-conformance, and when the action then is completed, then it will be moved to number of closed actions. Okay. So the next step will be, so while I want to investigate my non-conformance, what I want to know is it's more about where this product or this lot number was coming from. So if I'm opening the lot number information, then I have nothing in stock related to this lot number. So it's not showing anything here in the bottom, but I can do an item tracing to ask the system to show me where that lot was coming from. And what the system is showing here is basically saying that this sales shipment, which was the one I selected, was received with this purchase receipt header. So this means that if I click here, I can see when that specific lot was received and by which supplier. So it's telling me the supplier name, when was it received, the document, and all other products that were in that purchase receipt. So from these parts now I can start opening my vendor non-conformance if it makes sense, or I can do some additional investigation. Okay. So that's one part regarding non-conformances. Obviously you can start and do research from the purchase side and escalate, so you can go directly in if you want just if I close my non-conformance, I can go in the lot number card, and then if I want to do a research, let's say I'm on the phone with my vendor, and now my vendor is saying that there is a problem with one of his specific lot that he provided to us. So I can just try and select the product first, and then I can enter the lot number that the vendor provided to us, and I can trace exactly where this was used. So I'm selecting the item. When I'm selecting the item, the system is showing me what I have on stock, so what are the current lot in stock. But I can also look at the other lot numbers, so something which is no more in stock, like the first one there. And then what I can do with item tracing, I can see who that lot number, which customer that lot number was shipped to. So I have two shipments here. So initially these 100 pieces that were received with that lot number, they have been shipped 60 to this customer and 40 to this other customer. So just clicking here, I can immediately open the shipment with all the information and find my customers and do whatever activity I need to recall the products. Okay, so I think that's sort of enough regarding the non-conformances and the item tracing. What I can talk now about is regarding the product specifications. So you can see in the bottom I have some shortcut, but also I have shortcut here on the left. So you can define product specifications related to your end product, semi-product, or raw materials. So let me start with an end product. And I have here the list of my product specifications. You can see I have a specification number, a version number, a status, and so on. So if I'm selecting this product, which is, or better, this specification, which is related to a specific product, and I just show you some of the information that the system can manage there. So you have, again, as I was saying, you can manage a version. Obviously this is linked to a specific product, and what you have also here, you have a status. So initially it will be new, and then it will be under development. When it is completed, it will be certified. Okay. What kind of information you have in the product specification? You have nutrition information, so you can see energy, fat, and so on. You have microbiological information. So each fast tab is bringing you to different type, so dietary information, or you have other information related to, really there is a lot there. And also you can manage, I think most important, you can have ingredients, allergens, and also information about materials and packaging. So if I'm looking quickly at allergens, you can see they are listed, and the presence here column is telling me if it is plus, it means it is presence in the product. If it is a minus, it's not present. If there is a question mark, it might be present or not. And I have additional information here about how much there might be there. And ingredients, again, it's also, you can list your ingredients, and then you can have a percentage, and also you have a printed percentage and other additional information. This specification, you don't have to maintain from scratch, but since this product is an end product, it's a finished product, so this is made up, this is the bill of material of this product. This means that this specification is being automatically built by the system, retrieving information from the specification of the raw materials or semi-finished products. So to demonstrate that quickly, I'm just saying, so this product, if we're looking at allergens, we were saying that, for example, there are no nuts, so there is a minus there. But if I'm looking at what are the components, so one of the components here is this one, it's a raw material, this salami here. And if I'm going to the raw material product specification, and I find my salami here, and I'm going to modify that, so I'm just changing to under development, and I'm going to add an allergen. So I'm going to add nuts, so I'm making present, I'm clicking OK, I'm changing these to certified, clicking OK. I'm coming back to my end product, so this is my AP10, and if I recalculate this food declaration, I'm just clicking OK. The system is doing whatever calculation is required and updating the information. Now, if I'm opening this product specification and I'm going to the screen for the allergens, now my nuts are shown as present. Okay, so this is how you can really manage your product specification linked to your bill of materials. So you don't have to maintain everything manually. You can consolidate information from your raw material into your finished product specification. Now let me talk quickly about another interesting feature of Show. So you can create what they are called planning characteristics. So these are additional information or properties, like a product type, which can be meat or different type of meats or different foil that have to be used in production. And then once you attach those characteristics to the items, now just to show you, this one, for example, is showing liver products, cooked meats, smoked ham, and so on, while the other one that we have in this database is different type of foil. What you can do, basically, you can tell the system at different levels. Now here, you can define at production line level or at machine level. You can really set up when your production process needs a change from one specific planning characteristics to another one, to a different one, how much is your rebuild time? So if your production line needs cleaning, or if your machine needs some reconfiguration, you can define everything here, and then obviously the system can either automatically through the MPS process, so the master production schedule, will take into consideration these planning characteristics, but also you can manually adjust and try to optimize based on your own criteria. So you can even run it after you run the manual planning. You can go in this what is called production optimization, and what you can do, you just select your area you want to look. Now at this stage I'm just looking at my production line 1, and I have a certain period, I'm looking at. In this case, I'm looking from the 1st of January 16th, and then I'm looking for a period of 3 months, but I want to use an optimization sub-period of 1 week. If I'm clicking retrieve, basically the system will retrieve everything which is planned or currently in process for that period. And then based on the planning characteristics, it will calculate whatever rebuild time you see here at the bottom is required. So what I see in this screen, basically the system is listing my production orders with different statuses and is grouping them in blocks depending on the combination of my planning characteristics. So I have the product type here and the foil. So whenever there is a change in planning characteristics, there might be a rebuild time you can see in this column required. So you see here I have, since there is this change from this combination to this combination, 7 minutes of reconfiguration are required. Or here I have 10 here and 8 here. So what you can do, if you want, you can try to optimize these just moving your production order within, so to try to minimize the changes. So if I'm selecting this production order here and I'm moving up, so now the current rebuild time is 25 minutes. If I'm moving this block up in time, so I ask the system to start this production order earlier than others. Now my total rebuild time is 24. But if I move these again a little bit up again, now my rebuild time has become 15 minutes because I have less changes of of combination of planning characteristics. Okay, so you can decide, you can manage, obviously you can move down, play around, and then when you're happy you just confirm your changes and the system will just adjust the planned dates and time of the various production orders to reduce and optimize your rebuild time. So that's basically what I was planning to show you today. So
that's
Joe,
very good. Yeah, there's some really exciting stuff there, and just what that can do for people's productivity is enormous. What I want to show you, and this is a very, very high level, I'm not going to get into a lot of detail here, but one of the things that we've really discovered with our customers over the years is that you can have a system and it's gathering all the right information and it's doing all that fantastic stuff that Gianluca was showing us. But one of the real benefits you get out of this is having really good data, good, basic, solid data that you're capturing right through your production process, you're capturing with your quality control, your recalls, you're capturing all your sales data. And then from the business intelligence side, we can map that and show that information in a very easy way for you to digest. So we can move away from reports and give you everything in a visual presentation. One of the nice things about this for instance is just looking at sales either in the last month here or in the year to date or the moving average total. Or the moving annual total, sorry, and it shifts between the views of the data. So basically what we're saying here is we're taking all of the data out of the ERP solution and we're analyzing that in ways that make sense to you. We're able to show that in the measures that we're looking at. So we might be taking out the value of sales, the quantity of, which is the volume, the various costs we had associated with that, and the profits that it's generating. But we can drill in on a particular sales rep and we can see what that person has sold to SuperValue, what they've sold to Dunn Stores, what they've sold to the Spar Central Billing. We can compare that against another person called Mindy there and see what their results last month versus last month in the last year, and again can jump into the various sectors so that we see this live analysis of data before us. And that helps us to jump in very, very quickly to identify not just the trends that you might see there, but by homing in on a particular aspect of that and to see, well, why has that number gone way down there, and what sort of products are being affected. And we can see, well, the value products sold really well, but honey and preserves were low. And as we jump around here, it affects the rest of our presentation. So we're finding very, very clever ways to visualize all of that information that's been captured in your ERP system and to present that to you in a way that makes sense and that's that's easy for you to understand. So that is essentially what I wanted to talk about on the business intelligence side. That's a very, very cursory and high-level view, but we can spend a lot more time talking to you about that individually. Now, what I want to do is bring you through a summary of what we've been saying today. The foodware solution that both William and Gianluca and myself have spoken about is in use in the food and drinks industry all over the world and has a very successful track record in helping both small and medium businesses to large multinationals to manage their business operations. We're working with meat processors in the fruit and vegetable industry, for corporate food processors, and for all those other sectors that you see there ahead of you. So we cover the wide gambit of what's involved in food and drink. One of the things that we haven't spoken about too much today is our ability to handle under-bond warehousing, but that's really perhaps more akin specifically to drinks. So you can see that we cover quite a wide range of stuff. And also then the solution capability. Gianluca showed you some of the capability of the product, but however, it's within an hour, it's just impossible to show you everything. But from product specification, quality control, the whole management of your supply chain, really getting production to work well, getting the best out of your production process and managing that to get most throughput. Warehouse and transport management, which we didn't discuss today at all, is a huge issue, and that has to be managed very, very well, and right down to the management of the pallet and what stock is where and how it's going to be controlled, best before dates, whether they be short, long, or medium. Financial management, which again we didn't discuss on today, but because this is a completely integrated solution, every time something goes through, every time raw materials are consumed, every time a product is shipped, every time a product is purchased or ordered or whatever, or received into stock, it affects both our P&L and our balance sheet as appropriate and according to your own business rules. So this is completely integrated. So we never get to a position anymore where one system is telling us we have this amount of stock and our financial system is telling us something different. One of the things that's essential is the ability to marry this variable relationship that exists between fixed-based units of measure and the catch weights that we all have to deal with when product is processed either by us or as it's bought in. Gianluca spent some time showing you how the track and trace and recall capability works, and just the ease with which that works, I think, is the key thing there. So you can carry out a full recall program within a few clicks and get everything moving, and that can happen very, very quickly. William spoke a little bit earlier about the ancillary capability that exists around the products, connecting to our suppliers and connecting to our customers through EDI, the management of rebates, which of course is very important in the retail industry, RF scanning in the warehouse, etc. And all of this capability is built into the solution. So that's just to give you a quick sense of the whole thing. One of the things then, just very briefly, I want to talk about is our is our methodology. How do we go about starting a project and bringing that right through to the time when you're up and live and running with it? And as William mentioned, both Schouw and ourselves are committed to the what we call the Surestep methodology. There's been a lot of research and has been put into how to manage projects really, really well. Microsoft has spent a lot of time on this. Our associations with IBM has also brought out best practice from some very large international software and solution companies around the world. So this is a deployment methodology which we think works and which has been proven in hundreds of projects across Europe and across the world. We start off with analysis where we work with you to tie down exactly how your business works and what you're trying to achieve. And then we go into the process. Once we kind of make sure that we understand what you want, we bring to the process of design and making sure that the solution we're going to bring to you fits exactly the business that you want. We then get into the development or the configuration stage where we take all that information and we start getting your solution ready for you. And deployment is then where we start training people. We go through our testing process with you and make sure that everything that you require is actually in the solution as we promise to deliver it. And then we get to the operation stage, which is training end users after testing has been completed, bringing that operation live and supporting you through that process. So that's kind of our methodology, but there's been a lot of thought has gone into this, and there's a lot of documentation that goes to with this to make sure that we cover off all the bases and get everything right. William, is there anything you want to say in just as we finish up?
No, probably just underlining your message. I think you're right. There's much more to show. For example, you touched on catch weight, which is one of the crucial modules in the food industry. For example, if you're in meat, if you're in dairy, if you're in a similar industry, and there is much more to show, but it all depends on what you actually need. I mean, if you're not a production company, I can imagine that the whole production optimization stuff didn't make much sense, or is not that relevant for you. So yeah, I think it's good. I mean, this covers a base. If you need to know more, if you need to see more, then I suggest to get in touch with Joe and with Gianluca. So yeah, I'm good from my side. Thank you.
Okay.
The question comes in from Paul Butler.
We operate in cooked meats. We create a feedstock from meats and various ingredients, which is then cooked and cut into various specs. Can the system cope with that?
So basically what you're saying is that you have multiple production batches. So you're moving from combining multiple raw materials into a semi-product, and then you do something to that, and that becomes another semi-product, and in the end you probably pack it, label it, and that becomes your finished product. Is that what you're looking for?
That seems to me what it is, all right, William, which probably, you know, it's various recipes and bills of materials all building up into the final product by the sound of it.
Yeah. And that is indeed what is covered by NFV and by Foodware. So what NFV allows you to do is for each item that you have, you can set up whether you purchase that item or you produce that item. And if you produce that item, you can attach a bill of material to it. And in the bill of materials is exactly described what goes into it. So if I have a tin of Coke or a can of Coke, it's the can and it's the Coke that goes into it. And that's what the bomb should be composed of. And you can build that up over multiple levels. And as such, you create a production order for your semi-product, for your second semi-product, and in the end you create a production order for your finished product. Yeah, that's covered.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, William, as you mentioned, that's fairly standard processing within NAV, and then Foodware brings its own additions to that through the various detailed specifications that can be added in. So that would be fully covered, Paul, in what we do. I see you said sorry, there's no mic, but that's actually
No,
that's actually fine.
If you need more info, then let me know.
Martin Long has just asked what versions of Nav does the software run on. And William, I think there's just been an announcement this week that Foodware is available now on Nav 2017, but it's also covered in previous versions as well. Do you want to just say a few words about that?
Yeah. So we've been doing this, or we've been running. We've been developing Foodware, and I think the first version was released on Nav 4, which is about 10 years ago, approximately. And we've been releasing Foodware on every major Microsoft versions ever since then. Even more, Foodware is certified for Microsoft Dynamics for all the in-between versions. And actually, the team is quite busy at the moment talking to Microsoft EOC in Ireland on certifying it for NAV 2017 as well. So that is, I mean, that is part of the partnership that we have with ProStrategy, where ProStrategy came to a point where they said, well, hey, we see an opportunity, obviously, in the food industry, and it needs a solution. And rather than reinventing the wheel themselves, we got in touch with each other and said, okay, let's save on cost, both of us. Yeah, and work with an ISV solution instead. So, we run on all major.
Yeah, but essentially, I think William, one of the key points that we can say is that Schouw is committed as a developer of this of the additional Foodware on top of Nav to stay current with Nav. So while Nav will come out with releases every so often, Foodware will probably just be a few months behind that, because just to make sure everything's ready and tested. But essentially, you're staying current, but you support several versions back as well.
That's correct. Yeah.
Just another question in here from Fred O'Mahony. Can the product be used? Can product specs be used to create unit costings on a monthly or a quarterly basis? So we're getting more into the financial side of product specifications. So that question itself, I'm not so focused on the financial side of it. Do either Gianluca or yourself want to comment on that?
Just to comment on that very briefly, it depends on the way you want to value your inventory. So that is one of the questions that I would return to you, and it probably goes too far to discuss it over here. But I mean, you can set up standard costing, and you can do it based on actual costing.
Yeah. So
basically,
Nav itself handles a variety of costing methods, and certainly if you're using, I think the question suggests that they're using standard costing, but we could go into that more detail with you, Fred, on a one-on-one. But certainly the various costing methods are all supported. So if you're varying your cost base on a quarterly basis, then those new costs can be rolled up using standard costs. And of course, if you're using FIFO or something else, then your actual costs will flow right through the system as they happen. Is that fair enough, William?
Yeah, I agree. That's it, and you're right. Standard nav does a big part of the chunk there. What we add, what we allow you to do, for example, we allow you to split your machine costs, or to distinguish your machine cost from your labor cost, because that's often food production often a labor-intensive activity. As such, we allow you to separate those two. It may seem a small addition, but it's quite relevant in the food industry. So and that's the area where you're indeed overlapping nav and Foodware. That's a gray area. But yeah, I agree with Joe.
Okay.
With regards to the costing methods.
And then there's a question, another question from Paul Butler. Can Foodware produce a visual Gantt-style production chart? There are visual schedulers available that sit on top of nav, So we're aware of those, so we can talk to you about that in particular. Now, are there any more questions coming in there? I think that's it. I hope I've gotten everybody, Fred and Martin and Paul. So I think that's it, William. William, thank you for joining us today, and Gianluca, thanks very much for your contribution, and everybody else, thank you for coming today.
No problem.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.